Chairman Whatley, welcome to The Issue Is for the first time.
It's great to be with you.
And good to have you in California.
Yeah, it's great to be out here. I think that everybody kind of glosses over California because they look at where it stands on the national scene. But when you talk about the congressional seats, you talk about the majority that we have in Congress right now comes out of California. It's really important to be here.
So we have some not so subtle message behind you: make your vote safe and secure, over and over and over again.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, what we want, writ large nationally with our Protect the Vote campaign, is really to get the basics of election law protections in place where we can get them. And then secondly, we want to make sure that we have volunteers and attorneys that are there anytime votes are being cast or counted. We just want to make sure that the basic protections on election integrity are going to ensure that it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
And that's things like voter ID, things that you're probably not going to get here in California.
True, but there still is a national campaign that we want to have, and we want to have that conversation on it.
Should people trust that their vote is going to be counted fairly in California?
Yeah, and that's why we want to be here, right? And I think that people will feel more confident in that system if they know that we have volunteers and lawyers that are in the room when the votes are being cast and when the votes are being counted.
The basic message is there's not some big conspiracy. Get in the room. You can be one of the people to count, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the thing about California law is it does allow anybody who is interested in serving in that capacity to go serve in that capacity, which I think is really good, right? I think that when you have more people who have an opportunity to take part in this process and understand this process, they're going to be more confident in it.
If Jesus came down...
When Donald Trump was interviewed by Dr. Phil recently, he said that if Jesus was counting the ballots here in California, he would have won. What does that mean?
Well, I think that he feels like California, there are a lot of Republicans and there are a lot of votes here. I think he was probably, a little bit of a stretch. But, look, I think the point that the president's making, the point that we're trying to make here is that we want to restore the belief that the voting systems, that the election systems are going to be fair and impartial.
But Trump lost here by close to 5 million votes. Do you have evidence that he actually won this state, that there were 5 million more people that voted for him that weren't counted?
No.
So that claim about Jesus is...
We'll see. I mean, and the president can tell stories as at any time. But look, I think the key is that we want to make the point that it is very important for us to have election security protection in place, that we are going to protect the ballot, and that people are going to have faith in the sanctity of the vote.
Because there is danger, isn't there, of some people hearing that from the president, thinking, they don't count my vote, it's not fair, and then they don't vote, and then you could lose.
Well,
right?
Look, that's why we set this program up. That's exactly the conversation that we're having all across the country. We've had it in New York, we've had it in Michigan, we've had it in Pennsylvania. We're having it here because we want to go out to red states and blue states and purple states and have a conversation about how important election integrity is.
Did you ever have that conversation with the former president?
I have that conversation with him all the time.
And what does he say?
He says that he wants to make sure that the elections are going to be protected.
How do you see the contrast between Trump and Harris? Because you basically brought it down to a one-word contrast.
Well, to me, it comes down to strength versus weakness, right? And when you think about what do the American voters want right now, what really matters to every American voter, every American family, are things like jobs in the economy, security, safety. And that's really where the president is focused on. I think that this comes down to who has the ability to restore our southern border, to rebuild our economy, and to make sure that we are going to be strong enough to protect our interests at home and abroad.
Obviously, Kamala Harris is from here, spent most of her career working here. Are you reflecting on her and sort of her vision and record here in California as you think about the rest of the country?
Well, I think that's absolutely part of it. I think you also have to take a look at the fact that she is the border czar who oversaw 47 executive actions by the Harris-Biden administration to undermine the most secure southern border that we've ever had. She is the one that cast the tie-breaking vote on $2.5 trillion worth of unnecessary federal spending that caused inflation to spiral. That she is the one who is not supporting Israel the way that we need to be supporting our best ally. So when we look at these issues, when it comes down to the strength versus weakness, on every single one of them, Donald Trump is well ahead in every issue poll on all of those issues across the country for a reason.
So obviously the presidential race in California hasn't been all that close for that long, but the congressional races have been really close and really important. Can you talk about the importance of California to the Republican effort to keep that gavel?
Well, think about it. We have a 2-seat Republican majority in the House right now. We have 12 seats that are held by Republicans in California. 5 of those are held by Republicans in seats that Joe Biden carried. We do not have a Republican majority in Congress today without these seats in California. And if we want to hold on to that majority, even expand it, then we absolutely need to win those seats.
So what does that mean in terms of money, in terms of an effort by the RNC in the coming months?
Well, I mean, it does mean that we have offices just like the one that we're recording this interview in. It means that we have outreach offices across the state that we're talking to minority voters, we're talking to Asian American voters, Hispanic voters, black voters that we're going out to. It means that they're going to get support from the NRCC and the RNC financially and in terms of the resources of staff and everything else. This is a very high priority for us.
Are there any seats in particular you're especially keeping an eye on?
You know, look, I think that we have one opportunity to be able to pick up a seat in Katie Porter's district where we've got a great Republican candidate that I think we can be able to win that seat. We've got
Scott Baugh
yeah,
versus
absolutely right, Scott
versus Dave Min.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, I think that you've got those 5 seats that currently are held by Republicans in districts that Joe Biden carried. I think that's very important, and Ken Calvert is another one who's in a very, very tight district. You know, so I think that when we look at the map, those are probably the highest priorities for us.
In terms of where we go from here, who is the voter that you're most focused on? Obviously, you would say that everybody, but you got limited resources, you got limited time. Who is the person that you are most focused on getting?
Well, when we talk about get out the vote, right, obviously we have Republican voters. They're going to go out and vote, right, and they're going to go vote for Donald Trump. We have Democratic voters who are going to go vote, and they're going to vote for Kamala Harris. There is a group in the middle that are probably going to go vote who have not figured out who they're going to vote for. Obviously, that's a very high priority group for us. There also is a group of people, low propensity voters. We know they will vote Republican if they go vote, and we got to figure out a way that they haven't voted in 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. We've got to dynamite them off the couch, and we want to make sure that we get them out to vote.
And what's the main message you think that gets them off the couch?
I think a conversation about strength versus weakness, about whether California is going to be strong, America is going to be strong, who is going to do the strongest job of advancing your family's interests and your community's interests. And on every single one of those issues, we feel like Donald Trump is in a great position to get those votes.
Strength versus weakness was obviously a huge theme at the RNC, and it sort of made sense a lot with Joe Biden, who was older, and now you have a different nominee in Kamala Harris. How has that changed your thinking in terms of the framing of this?
It really hasn't, right? Because with Kamala Harris, she is the one. She was the border czar. And so when we talk about, you know, the fact that 10 million illegal immigrants have come across that southern border that we know of, let alone the ones that we don't know of, right? Migrant crime is a very real issue. Fentanyl is a very real issue that has come because of her stewardship of the border. That's her, right? When we talk about who cast the tie-breaking votes on those spending bills, that was her, right? So the issue is the same because the voters have identified these as the issues that they care about. The fact is that Republicans are doing a better job of understanding what the voters want and putting solutions on the table and talking directly to them.
We'll wrap things up with a couple of fun things.
Sure.
So you out there were talking about the way you got this job from Donald Trump, and it wasn't exactly an ask.
Well, look, I mean, when the president called and said, hey, you know, Chairman McDonald, Ronna, is going to be stepping down, and you need to step up. We need to make sure that we win in this election cycle, and we'd like to have you stand up for it. It's a great honor. It's a real big opportunity, obviously a tremendous challenge when you think about, you know, the gravity of this election cycle, but the fact that we have a 1-seat Democrat majority in the Senate. We have a 2-seat Republican majority in the House, and we have a presidency that was decided by 44,000 votes in 3 states last cycle. You know, this is an election that can go either way, and we feel it's a, you know, obviously, you know, we feel like we're in a great position with Donald Trump to win it. But at the same time, the RNC has to function. It has to function at a very high level, and it's an honor that the president asked me to do it.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about him behind the scenes, about Donald Trump?
Look, I think he cares deeply for this country. He cares deeply for his family. He cares deeply about everybody having the opportunity that he had to get ahead in this country. And so, you know, there are a lot of people who think that he's selfish. He's not. He is out there fighting every day for the American voters. And I will just say this, that following the assassination attempt, you know, the first conversations that he had while they were in the motorcade going to the hospital were asking, are the other people okay? Did anybody else get shot? Are they going to be okay? Are the rest of the people there? You know, when I first got a call, it was on you know, that Saturday evening, and they said, are you guys ready? You know, because he's coming. He's coming, and we want to be there, right? He was not supposed to get there till Thursday. He ended up coming in on Sunday, right? And just before he came out on Monday evening, I was having a conversation with him backstage, and I said, sir, when you go through that door, this place is going to melt. Because they didn't know he was coming, and it was a complete surprise. And it was such a powerful moment where he really, I think, had the opportunity to kind of step back and ask himself, why are we doing this? You know, you're talking about a guy who had an amazing business career. He's got a great family. He had a great life. He does not need this. Why would he do this? And you have to ask yourself that question. And it's because he loves America and he wants this country to succeed, and he really feels like he can make a difference. Make America Great Again is a trite campaign slogan for everybody. It's very real for Donald Trump, and that's what he's fighting for every day.
We saw some emotion in his face that we don't usually see in that moment when he walked out there. I think it hit him. It was amazing to be there for that week and to see that up close. And lastly, we do something called personal issues, which is to get to know you.
Right.
You know, your North Carolina roots, we know that. We don't know that much about you. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you, what's your favorite TV show of all time?
You know, I watch the Atlanta Braves every night, no matter what they're doing, especially when they play the Dodgers.
Okay.
It's absolutely great.
Do you have a favorite movie?
You know, probably Moneyball. I think that's kind of the big one, or The Patriot.
Okay. Do you have a favorite actor or actress?
You know, Ronald Reagan, when he was an actor, was pretty cool to watch.
Oh my God. There's an answer for a Republican chairman.
Right.
Yeah, the new Reagan movie.
Absolutely.
Which you guys
I'm
showed
looking
about
forward to it,
55
yeah.
times at the RNC in different places. Favorite band or musician?
You know, Hootie and the Blowfish, kind of go back a little bit
Do you
old
have a
school.
favorite song?
You know, there's so many.
I Only Want to Be With You?
Watch it. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we found out your favorite sports team's got to be the Braves, right?
Yeah.
And who is your role model?
You know, really, I've had such a great group of role models that I've worked with over the years. People who kind of showed me politics and how it can be done right. You know, guys like Bob Dole when I was Elizabeth Dole's chief of staff. You know, getting a chance to work, the first senator I worked with is a guy named Paul Coverdale that nobody has ever heard of. But he worked all day, every day to try and make a difference in the Senate. You know, things along those lines. President George W. Bush, and even Donald Trump, because he is so relentless and he works every day. And I think that really is how you have to have that sense of urgency to really help people along the way.
Well, Chairman Whatley, thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Good luck to the Braves. Not too much luck. And good luck to you out on the campaign trail.
Thank you. I
Nice to
appreciate
see
it.
you.
All right.
Thanks so much.